Welcome back to our channel, and this time we're going to have irrational numbers, wherein we're going to learn how to estimate square roots of irrational numbers and how to plot them in the number line. First example, estimate the square root of 8. We know that square root of 8 is between the square root of 4 and square root of 9. 4 and 9 are perfect squares. Square root of 4 is 2 and square root of 9 is 3. Therefore, square root of 8 is between 2 and 3. It is a decimal number greater than 2 but less than 3. Here we can also say that 8 is near 9. Therefore, for the next step, we have to use 8 and the square root of 9, which is 3. That will be 8 divided by 3. Let me show you the solution. 8 divided by 3. 8 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And then you subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2. You add the decimal point and the 0. You bring it down. 20 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. And then you subtract. 20 minus 18 is 2. Add another 0 and bring it down. 20 divided by 3 is again 6. 6 times 3 is again 18. And then you subtract 20 minus 18 is again 2. So if you add 0 again, you bring it down, you divide, it will give you the same answer as 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and so on. We have to round off this answer to the nearest hundreds. So this is the hundreds place. If you want to round off to the nearest hundreds, you have to look at the thousands place. So the thousands place is 6. If the thousands place is 5 or above or greater than 5, you have to add 1 to the hundreds place. So this will become 2.67. This is what we're going to use in the next step. That will be 3 plus 2.67 divided by 2. So 3 again is from the square root of 9. And then 2.67 is our answer in our division earlier. And then you have to divide the sum by 2. So 3 plus 2.67 is 5.67, and then you divide it by 2. 5.67 divided by 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and then you subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down 6. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Don't forget the decimal point. 8 times 2 is 16. You subtract. So this is 0. You bring down 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. There is a remainder still. You can add 0 and continue dividing. But from 2.83, we have to round this off to the nearest tens. So this is the tens place. We have to look at the hundreds place. If the hundreds place is 5 and above, you have to add 1 to the tens place. If not, you just drop it or you don't include it anymore. So are we going to add 1 to 8 or are we going to remain 8 as 8? That's right. So we have to use 2.8 as our estimate. Remember, this is just an estimate because irrational numbers are non-terminating, non-repeating. If you're going to compute this using our calcu, the answer is 2.82842725 and so on. So for us to be able to put this or plot this in the number line, we can use an estimate. So we have to use 2.8. For the number line, we have here the square root of 4, which is 2, and the square root of 3, which square root of 9 rather, which is 3. So we have to plot 2.8. So as you can see, I subdivided this. This will be 2.2. This is 2.4. This is 2.6. And then this is our 2 2.8. So we have exactly here. This is our 2.8. So just put your dot here. So that will be our number line. Example number 2, estimate the square root of 75. We know that square root of 75 is between square root of 64 and square root of 81. The square root of 64 is 8, the square root of 81 is 9. So the square root of 75 is between 8 and 9. It is a decimal number greater than 8 but less than 9. And 75 is near 81, so we have to get or use the square root of 81 on our next step. That will be 75 divided by 9. So 75 is our radicand and 9 is the square root of 81. So if we're going to divide that, let me show you. So that is 75 divided by 9. 75 divided by 9 is 8. 8 times 9 is 72. And then you subtract, it will give us 3. And then you add a decimal point and 0. Bring down 0. 30 divided by 9 is 3. 3 times 9 is 27. Subtract. So the difference is 3. You add another 0. You bring it down. 30 divided by 9 is 3 again. 3 times 9 is again 27. And then you subtract it again. As you can see, we will have here repeating answer. And then you just round off to the nearest hundreds. So this is the hundreds place. Look at the thousands place. If the thousands place is 5 and above, you add 1. If not, you just drop. So we just drop this. The answer will be 8.33 for our next step. That will be 9 plus 8.33 divided by 2. So again, 9 is from the square root of 81. 8.33 is from our division earlier. So you add them and you divide it by 2. That will be 17.33 divided by 2. So let us divide 17.33 by 2. 17 divided by 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. You subtract, that will give you 1. And then put the decimal point. Bring down 3. 13 divided by 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. You subtract, it will give you 1. You bring down 3. And then 13 divided by 2 is again 6. 6 times 2 is 12. And then you subtract, it will give you 1. You can continue dividing. So if you're going to add 0, you bring it down. It will be 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 5 times 2 is 10. There is no remainder. So the answer is 8.665. Round off to the nearest tenths. So this is our tenths place. You have to look at the hundreds place. This is the hundreds place. Wait, let us write that again. 6.665. Round off to the nearest tenths. So look at the hundreds. It is 6. If the hundreds place is 5 and above, you have to add 1. So we have to add 1. This will become 8.7. This is our estimate. Again, this is just an estimate. Because if you're going to use the calculator, you will get 8.660254038 and so on. Because this is an irrational number which is non-terminating and non-repeating. So let us plot 8.7 in the number line. As you can see, we have here the square root of 64 and the square root of 81. And between that 8 and 9 is our square root of 75, which is 8.7. Here we have the 8.2, 8.4, 8.6, 8.8, and then the 9. So since we need 8.7, 8.7 is between 8.6 and 8.9, therefore the dot should be in the middle. So that will be our number line. For our drill, estimate the square root of the following: square root of 40 and square root of 150. You can pause your video while doing the drill. Let us answer. So this is for the square root of 40. As you can see, we have here the estimate of 6.3 and our number line. So this is considering this is 6.2, this is 6.4, and so on. For square root of 150, the estimate is 12.3. So 12.3 is here. This is considering 12.2, and this is 12.4.